Today we're on a journey with these three guitars. We are going to help determine who makes the very best custom Les Paul style guitar. Stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you want to support the channel, you can visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts. So we are comparing three popular, amazing, custom versions of a Gibson Les Paul. This is something I've been kind of wanting to shoot, and by no means is this exhaustive, but it's a pretty good look at what we have access to in comparing these three guitars. I would have liked to have added a fourth, specifically in a PRS McCarty 594, but interestingly enough, try as I might, even among our local and kind of beyond local PRS dealers, I could not find one, double cut or single cut, so I have no idea what that's about. But we have some great Les Paul style guitars here, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about kind of what makes them the same, what makes them different, and then Cooper's going to put them through their paces and melt your faces off. That's what's going to happen. So what we've got is you have I got a Les
59.
Paul.
This is the best custom Les Paul because it's the only brand that makes a real custom Les Paul.
Yep.
But this is a 59 Murphy Lab, so it is a little bit,
light aged.
Somebody took a little blade to this one, you know what I'm saying? Light aged 59. Is that a washed cherry?
That is a factory burst.
Factory burst. I dig it.
Yep.
Came straight from the factory.
Yeah, so 59 considered the holy grail by which all other Les Pauls are judged, and Murphy Lab, of course, being even the upper echelon of custom shop. We're getting into all sorts of aging, different finishes, and so forth. But the custom shop Les Paul, the 59 reissues, just like the 58 and the 60, they're all designed to be not just an homage to those guitars from the past, but really as accurate as possible reproductions of a vintage 59 Les Paul. And they're very expensive, but when you consider what an actual 59 Les Paul goes for, they're a huge value. That's all you have to do to say to your significant other. Like, you have no idea how much I'm saving on this. I could buy this one for $250,000, but I'm getting this one for $7,000 instead. See how much better that sounds?
It works. It works. So
laser measurements.
Yeah.
Chemically correct plastics, all of that.
Chemically correct. All three of these guitars, same goes for them, but we're talking about single cut, flame maple topped, mahogany bodied electric guitars with two humbuckers.
Yep, and mahogany necks, rosewood fingerboards, two humbuckers.
Two humbuckers. These happen to be, I think, probably our favorite.
Custom buckers?
Yeah, custom buckers from Gibson, and they rock. Are you pulling out the first competitor?
Well, there's more similarities between these two, and so I think it makes sense.
We got a Heritage. So
this is a Heritage Custom Core H150, and if you're not familiar with Heritage, this is basically, these are kissing cousins right here, man. This is from the factory that this was originally would have been produced in 59. At some point during the Norland era, they moved Gibson away from the factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, move it down to Nashville. When they do that, a lot of people stay behind, and they form Heritage. That continues to this day. So in the original Gibson factory, this guitar is fashioned. Now, if you've seen our videos with Heritage, you know that they have a standard line, and then they have a custom core. This is not like a 59. I'd say it's more closely aligned with a 1960 Les Paul, because you got the
Grovis.
Right? How would you do it? There you go. You whistle better than I do. So, yeah, you've got the Grovers on there. But it's, so you've got Heritage. You've got the great logo up there. It's very vintage spec. It's not, in this particular case, aged in any way, but they do an artisan age version of this guitar. But, yeah, I mean, look at them. They're very, very similar to being close to the same guitar. They've got little differences here, differences here. But otherwise, pretty darn close. Now, that is a more vintage style bridge than this one. This is a Tone Pros bridge that's locked on there. That one is obviously not. And there's some differences in the setup, which is interesting. So you've got the aluminum bar basically down to the body on that one. And the bridge is a little lower. This is a little higher. The stop bar is up. Interesting.
Yeah.
I pay attention to that kind of stuff.
You love to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I will say,
Both chunky necks.
what's the, off the top of your head, do you know the pickups in that one?
Yes, these are Heritage hand-wound 225 Parson pickups. They're basically Heritage's version of custom buckers.
Cool.
And that's why I wanted to compare these two first, because a custom bucker is an unpotted PAF-style Alnico 3 humbucker that's hand-wound. And the idea, if you go back, those original PAF pickups, they were wildly inconsistent. They've pulled historic examples. They've got different magnets in there. They're wound to different, specifications. It was the wild, wild west. We're inventing electric guitars here. And so there's a certain magic, there's a certain mojo to what's going on with those original PAF pickups, but they're all a little bit different. In order to capture the sound of a vintage guitar, what builders like Gibson and Heritage do in this particular case is they go to winding to a certain spec. It's typically going to be a fairly weak output humbucker compared to something that's really hot. Alnico 3s are a warmer magnet. They kind of sound like Alnico 2s that have aged, because magnets kind of lose their power after a period of time. And the fact that they're unpotted means that they're a bit more open, a bit more acoustic sounding. I tend to really like unpotted pickups. You can deal with microphonic feedback and squeal if you're at a really high gain level, but most of the time, unless you're staring right at the amp, it's perfectly
It'll
fine.
be fine.
Yeah.
So these both rock. We should say that since these are more vintage style, 3-way switch, 2 tones, 2 volumes, nothing crazy. Only bring that up because
we got something that's a little bit different from across the pond. If you don't know, now you know. We're big fans of Patrick James Eggle and his crew of guitar wizards over there in England. So this is the Eggle Macon carved top. All of the Macons in the line are basically an homage to the Gibson Les Paul. There is the Macon Junior, the Macon Vintage, which is kind of like a Les Paul Special. We've had those on this channel before. The carved top, and the Semi, which is a version of this that's semi-hollow. So in this particular case, the formula still stands. It's a beautiful 4A maple top against a mahogany body.
Is that a faded gold burst?
This is, I think, lemon burst.
Lemon burst.
It may be faded gold.
That's nice.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. Lighter in color than either of these other two. The back and the neck are mahogany, but you can see that there's a little bit more going on, a little bit of modernity brought into this classic recipe, where we've got the belly carve, we've got the heel carve. It's all beautifully executed, gold anodized covers on the back. I can't rave enough about the neck on these. So that's going to be gloss nitro with some very light aging. The Heritage is gloss nitro. This is a hand burnished nitro finish, but on the neck, there's nitro sprayed here, there's nitro sprayed here, and the middle is just tongue oiled and sanded and oiled and sanded, and it feels smooth like a baby bottom. So,
but it rocks like a full-grown man. Am I right, y'all?
It wails like a very hungry, angry baby. That's what it does. Beautiful flamed maple binding. It's really kind of a modern approach while still having nods to vintage specs, like the tuners. They're Kluson style, but they're open gear Goto tuners.
Yeah.
You've got a beautiful, very understated headstock overlay with the logo there. I like what they've done, parallelogram inlays, but they're done in frames. Yeah. It's been framed, man.
It's been framed. So tell me about the pickups in this bad boy. Those are Mojo, correct?
These are Mojo pickups. I also want to point out something on this that's just really cool because we were talking about hardware. So this is Goto hardware. It's got some kind of aging done to it, but check out the saddles. It's got brass saddles, which is just very cool. This one's also pretty much almost all the way down. The height on this is set up really well. It's something to pay attention to. We talk about neck angle all the time in acoustic guitars. It matters in electric guitars that have set in necks and how much height you have to have in order to accommodate the neck angle. But like you were asking, the pickups on this, they are beautiful brushed covered Mojo pickups. They're also hand wound. And we don't have much specs other than that. But having played these guitars, my suspicion is that they are Alnico 2 or maybe a mixture of magnets. What I know is that they're hand wound by Mojo, which is a real small shop in the UK, and they're done to PJE specs. So if you go to the Mojo website, You can order a variety of path style pickups, and then there's a PJE spec that he does. And so these are to Patrick's specifications. We in the case, it usually has the measurements. Generally, he makes the bridge just a little bit hotter on these, and they are coil tappable. So there's some more modernity there.
I like this guitar because in Gibson's line, Heritage doesn't really have this. Heritage Custom Core will be pretty old school style across the board, just kind of kicked up versions. Gibson's got custom shop that's both very original and very modern. And so you can get this guitar, or you can go get like a Les Paul Access or something with all the carves, all the splitting and all that. This takes what is definitely way more of an old school, or at least old school inspired look. It's got a totally different vibe with the binding.
And even the carve, like this is a deeper violin carve on here.
Yeah.
That's more akin to kind of how PRS does theirs than either of these other two.
Yeah. So you got a little bit of that old school and a little bit of the modernity. There's no, in and out of phase or blow switch or anything. It's the thing that people, if there's extra switches, would probably use the most, which is the coil split. So there is a really nice single coil kind of vibe that you can get here, and then you can blend those together. But they all sound so radically different from each other, which is not what I was expecting. So let's take a listen before we get into the rest.
All right, so there you have it. Before we say another thing, I do want to encourage you at this point right now, go in the comments and cast your vote. Which one did you like the best? Now, you can't play these, so you're going to have to listen to what we have to say regarding playability and feel.
I mean, you can play them if you come to the store.
I'm saying at this exact moment you haven't played
No,
these.
get in.
Yeah, get in here. But let us know what you think on sound. So, before we start, I will say I own one of these. Not this exact guitar, but I have a 59 reissue VOS. I love it. I love that guitar. It's right now probably my favorite electric guitar that I own. Speaking to the non-potted pickups, I have gotten right in front of my amp with a lot of gain and not had any unwanted feedback. I've only had the kind that you want. So you take that with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary, but I absolutely love this guitar. And we've been big fans of Heritage since we picked them up. I think they make fantastic guitars that are Gibson style, Gibson inspired, since that's their heritage. But in a smaller, more boutique shop that has a lot of attention to detail.
And strangely enough, significantly less expensive than the Gibson.
Significantly less expensive. The Gibson Les Paul that I have in my hands, once you go Murphy Lab, creeps over $7,000. This is under $5,000. It's a little over $4,000, actually.
Right over $4,000,
yeah. And so, if what you've been wanting is a Les Paul style guitar, nitro finished, all of the classic things, made in the US, the right pickups, all of that, then know that you can get that with upgraded tops and everything from Heritage in the standard lineup and in the custom shop for less than you would on the Gibson. That's basically, in a smaller shop, more attention to detail, getting you a similar product for less money.
Yeah. And then price-wise, right in the middle,
you've got the
Eggle.
Patrick James Eggle.
Right in the meggle.
And what's interesting to me about that is we've ordered this guitar. We spec'd it with Patrick. But we've also ordered some guitars for customers. And it is truly a custom experience. Yeah. So, you can do a made-to-measure with Gibson. There's some options there. The amount of customized stuff you can do, I think, is a little bit greater. Just some of the cool stuff I've seen Eggle do is pretty neat. So,
yeah, and
because this is like big company, smaller company, truly boutique.
Company.
Yes.
Yeah. In terms of the sound, they all sound good. They all sound like Les Pauls. They all sound like they got two humbuckers. Here's my takeaway. Give me the bridge pickup of the Gibson. Give me the neck pickup of the Heritage. Give me the playability and fit and finish of this guitar, and I'm happy. We can't necessarily do that, but...
Listen, if you buy all three, you can have whatever you want.
That would be my takeaway from all this. They're all so different from each other. When I was playing the Gibson, the neck pickup... I mean, again, this is as simple as we could get it with the amp being set to the same exact specifications. I think if you were actually interested in one of these guitars, you would ideally play it, set the amp however you think it feels best, and then judge each one based on how the amp is catering to that guitar. But for a Blues Junior with the EQs straight up and just a little bit edge breakup, bridge pickup far outweighed the neck pickup on that guitar for me. That's how I think a lot of people would probably play it if they're rocking. On the Heritage, I was blown away. First chord, like that neck pickup, it's just thick and still cuts through enough that didn't get as muddy. I loved it, and then I felt like the bridge pickup still kind of was hanging out behind the Gibson in terms of what it could let me do at that amp level. Over here, easiest to play by far, much lighter.
Much lighter.
Like pounds lighter, probably. And it's got a different sort of feel up against your body. It's really just the most comfortable, which is not always what everybody cares about when they're getting a Les Paul. They know what they're getting into. Yeah. But way more comfortable. Small thing. This one tuned up and held its tune. Noticeably better. I think it's getting colder over here, which means it's 85 today. And so there was...
We've just hit autumn.
Yeah, there was weather change a little bit, and these were all out on the sales floor and noticeably had gone sharp a little bit. And so then I had to bring them down. These two crept back up, and this one just stayed exactly where I want it to be. And the pickups in here are great. I said that I would take those two pickups, but as a set together, these are the most balanced for just how you're getting it, you know?
Truly custom pickups. I mean, like
Yeah.
everything, you talk about custom and then there's bespoke.
Yeah.
You know, that's really bespoke. What's interesting about a lot of these too, it's like little things, right? So you've got your Clusen style redo, you know, tuners over here. You've got the kind of Grover style tuners. You've got Gotos. There's a feel to each one of them that's different.
Yeah.
The nuts are different. This, you know, traditionally there's a nylon nut on the 59. One of the things about a 59 is they're making it just like they were made back then. Would you put a nylon nut on most guitars nowadays? Probably not, but it works and it's part of the whole package. This is bone on the Heritage. This guy right here, that's a bone nut. And I'm pretty sure that is too, if not being tusk, but it sure ain't nylon.
Sure enough.
Some of the other choices, you know, like we talked about the Tone Pros bridge over here. We've got the vintage ABR and the aluminum stop bar over there. Brass saddles, yeah, that's a cool choice. So there's something to be said where, you know, you can divert from the original formula when what you're doing is not making a reissue.
Yeah.
You know, but that's some cool stuff that I don't see a lot of builders really do.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like the neck treatment. There's something similar to that when you go up in aging with a Murphy lab, because they'll be removing finish kind of from the back of the neck and it starts to feel that same way. But also not everyone, some people just want that without the rest of the aging that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So something else to be said there. Now, speaking of aging, Eggle will do a variety of things. So this is a hand burnished top. So it's kind of a semi-gloss, and that's what they typically will do on some of the vintage colors, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can get it full glossy nitro, and then they also do heat checked nitro, which can look really cool. That's how that vintage Macon that had the P90 and the Motortron, that's how that was. It was a very cool
That was
guitar.
awesome.
And like we said, you can do artisan age. We actually have a really cool Cadillac green custom Core H150 in stock that is artisan aged. So if you
And
like the
it's
checking,
subtle, which I like.
it's subtle, yeah. Yeah, you know, everyone kind of has their own take on the whole aging thing, and I like the feel of some of it, but I do get when people are like, that's way over the top. And then other people love it, and I get that too. You know?
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. I love the maple binding in those dots. That's cool.
I wish that was lumen lay.
Lobule.
Lobule. Yeah, these are all great, and the moral of the story is you gotta choose those little things that you want based on the sound you're trying to get, the feel you're trying to get. These are all great options. You could go with the tried and true, but there are other companies making very respectable versions of this guitar, more modern, more just kind of straightforward, you know, and there's a lot in between for single cuts with humbucker sound. Like you said, PRS, great option. Some Gretsch Pro stuff that gets you to that kind of echelon.
On the boutique side, Nick Huber's a big name. He also is a European builder like Patrick James Eggle. His guitars right now tend to go for more money, but I would put, you know, if you're looking for a boutique style Les Paul, the Huber Orca and the Macons from Eggle are really, I think, the two top tier builders doing that.
Yeah.
I think one of the takeaways from this is just how on it Ted McCarty and his team were in 1952 when they created the first Les Paul and went through the iterations to create the bursts in 59, and how lasting it's like the Telly, right? Like to nail it so early on with that formula is pretty impressive, that it has gone through all of these years largely unchanged, few little things, but it works for a musician. It's a fantastic platform, and from that you can also, you know, move away and create some really special things. We talked about the lightness of that. One piece resonant body, okay? This is also a one piece. That's something that Gibson does in the custom shop. One piece mahogany body with hide glue affixing the top and the long heel and all these little intricacies that make all of these really fantastic guitars. So I'll take all three. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that works for me. But yeah, let us know what you think, because all three of these companies also allow you to get something a little more personalized. Heritage has awesome factory specials. That was actually a factory special.
Yeah, this is a factory bourbon burst that
bourbon
you otherwise
burst, so
can't get.
You can't get that one unless you get this one. But, you know, Gibson made to measure, Eggle full-on custom. really fun to dive into, and we'd love to talk to you about what you're looking for. Obviously, if one of these is the one, just give us a call. We'll take care of it. But you can, spend some time, get more info on all three, listen to demos, figure out which one suits you, and then build it from there.
So cast your vote in the comments which one you liked the most. You can also cast your vote with your wallet and get one of these because we have them. And if you want to build something special and custom, let us know. We will walk you through it. So on our website, it's alamomusic.com. You can find information from all of these builders, instruments that we have in stock. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, comment, keep coming back. We'll see you next time.